What is up, guys, and welcome. This is the first episode of Rugby Weekly on my channel. There's been two others on the Scottish Cannon and Cornflake Cribs channel, and today it's like a rugby talk show that we do on YouTube about Super Rugby, Six Nations that's going on at the moment, and the Aviva Premiership that's going on. So, to start off with, let me tell you who is with me, and it is the Cornflake. So, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm good. And then the Scottish Cannon as well. How you doing?
Yeah, hello. Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good as well. So, start off with talking about Six Nations. Obviously, there wasn't any games last week, so we're going to do a complete look ahead to this week's games. And obviously, the first one is Scotland-Italy. So, to start off with, Scottish Cannon, obviously, you're Scottish. So, what do you think of that game?
Scotland are going to win by 50 points.
50
Scotland,
points?
Scotland just being unlucky against France as well as against Wales. You know, lots of Scots have said that obviously the referee cost us the game against Wales, and but I mean we did lose the game due to our discipline. But obviously Italy got smashed by England the week before, and then I think it was Ireland the week before that. They've only scored 23 points the whole Six Nations, so Scotland are going to get out the line by a decent amount, especially at Merrifield.
All right. So, what do you think about that, Cornflake?
I have a bit of a concern for Scotland, to be honest with you. Peter Horne playing at number 10. They're going to miss not having Finn there, I think, but it's against an Italy side that they should pretty easily take out. But I think Italy will probably fancy their chances, maybe not at Murrayfield, but I'd suspect Scotland should take that one out quite convincingly, but I won't say 50 points. I'll give them 17. How's that?
Yeah, it's fair enough. Because in my opinion, I think that I think Peter Horne will not be anywhere near as good as Finn Russell, but I think it's probably the best game to have Finn Russell out though. So with them playing at Murrayfield as well, I think they'll win. I think it'll be much closer than you guys think. I think it will be very, very tight. If you watched last year's Italy-Scotland game, they only won it from a drop goal in the last few minutes. So it's always tight between Scotland and Italy. Even though Scotland should have really won their first two games, it's down to those final few minutes where you can see who's more composed. So that's the first game of the Six Nations this weekend, and the next one is France-Wales. So what do you think about that, Cornflake?
Well, France, they're in a bit of a worry situation, really, aren't they? Their Six Nations is pretty much done for. They've chopped a few players out as well. The big news thing this week about how they've dropped Bastareaud out of the team, which is, well, that's a pretty big deal. He's a top-class player. And, you know, I guess they have to look at other things, don't they? Have to look elsewhere. Wales have been less than convincing this season, but it is at Stade de France, of course, so can France get up, or will it be the indifferent form of Wales? I'm going to go different and say France will win by 3.
You think? All right.
Yeah.
So, Scottish Cannon, what do you think? Because, my opinion, I think considering that they've dropped quite a few players, France, I think they're going to have a completely different side in the start of the Six Nations. So I want to see how that does against a Wales side with George North back, and see how they do. So, what do you think?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say congrats to George North, who's playing his 50th test this year. He's only 22 as well. That's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
He's played 50 tests and he's only 22. He might be the most capped player ever by the end of his career. Just need to wait and see. But this is basically, I think we can agree, the game for third place in the Six Nations. I think is it at France or is it at
it is.
So it's in France, so it's at Stade de France. And honestly, I do think France covered the line in a tight one as well. I think obviously Wales got just barely beat Scotland. They honestly, even from my biased opinion, they shouldn't have beaten Scotland. And I mean, they did lose the game right in the siren to England as well. But I mean, you never know. But I do think France will cut off the line just because of their home crown. And obviously, I think this new side could be very interesting.
Fair enough. And obviously the last game of the weekend is obviously England Ireland in Ireland in the Aviva Stadium, and just my opinion, because of how it's in Ireland, I think it's probably going to be one of the closest games you'll see definitely this year, because I think it'll be one of those very, very tight up until maybe the 10 minutes to go, and then someone's going to get that try, and then they're going to get away, and the other side's then chasing the game, which I don't think, with 10 minutes to go, I don't think most sides will be able to chase either England or Ireland. So what do you think of that cornflake? Who do you think will win that one?
Well, you're right. It's going to be one of the toughest and closest matches probably in the competition so far. England have a few changes. Are they going to miss Mike Brown at fullback with Alex Good coming in? And the man we talked about last week, Jack Noel, or however you pronounce his name properly, he's back. He's Noel. They might go for Noel.
Yeah.
Noel. Anyway, he's starting on the left wing, so he could be like Johnny May's gone. So there's a couple of changes for the English. Ireland, well, like we said last time as well, Ireland have struggled to score tries. If they're not going to score any tries, I'd say England will pip it, and that's going to be my pick. England by a couple. Close games all week.
Oh, Scottish Cannon, what do you think?
It's going to be obviously the game that decides the Six Nations, I think, anyway. And I just, honestly, based on form currently, I think England should win. But, Ireland have been completely unpredictable, and just their attack is just being, could you call it even just, I'm trying to describe it like underrated almost, like pretty crap. Not up to the usual standards. Let me say that, up to the usual standards. And obviously England with the big 8-try win over Italy last weekend, and the close win against Wales. It should be probably, I reckon, the game of the season, including the Rugby Championship down here. I know we'll get some really good games at the World Cup. So honestly, I think this is obviously going to decide the Six Nations, and England by a couple points.
What I don't get is what Ireland see in Jared Payne. From your perspective, what do you think about Jared Payne? When he was in New Zealand, he was rubbish. He was just an average journeyman.
It's just one of those things that because he's from New Zealand, people will be like, oh, he's from New Zealand, he must be good. And I think that's one of the reasons why they've pretty much adopted him. Because they've gone, he's from New Zealand, he must be really, really good. He's from New Zealand. So,
does he play very well in the domestic matches over there?
I haven't really watched any, but I haven't seen him play very well in the Champions Cup.
He's not a standout, is he?
No, he's not a standout player at all.
I just don't get it. He was average when he was here, and now he's like the answer to O'Driscoll's replacement, and I just see it's going to kick them in the ass.
And I've seen Gareth Anscombe has been better than him this season for club.
Anscombe's a decent player. Like, I'd rate Anscombe a lot better player than Jared Payne. He was pretty average. Like bench Super Rugby player, if you've got 10 injuries kind of player.
I know. Yeah. Obviously, Anscombe's Welsh. Well, now he's Welsh. But literally, those two New Zealand players, I think he's performed much better than Jared Payne this season in domestic. So it's one of those. Bring him over because he's from New Zealand. It's kind of like. I can't really describe that with Tuolangi, can I? But it's kind of like bringing in the foreign players because they're foreign and they're known, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, reputation of the country rather than their talents.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
A quick question: is the England-Ireland game going to decide the Six Nations, or do you think Wales or France could come back and possibly steal it?
No, I don't see that at all. I see, that'll be the decider. I think whoever wins is going to get a Grand Slam. That's what I see. If England win that game, they will not lose to France. But if Ireland win that game, I cannot see them losing to anyone else in the Six Nations. Unless Wales like back France. Their ideas up and they play very, very well. They could potentially
play Ireland again, isn't it?
Yeah. So, it really depends, doesn't it? So we're going to go on to Super Rugby now, and obviously there were some games. What was it, yesterday and the day before? Was it?
Just yesterday and today. For my time. You're probably different.
So the games that started off there. So there was the Blues Cheetahs. Was that yesterday or today?
It was early hours this morning. That one.
Yeah,
early hours this morning.
For New Zealand time, anyway.
And the Cheetahs won that 25-24. So did any of you guys see that?
I just saw.
I didn't see it. Yeah, early hours of the morning for me on that one. But the Blues, they're such a all over the place side, aren't they? It was Jerome Kano's 100th Super Rugby match, and he capped it off getting a try as well, which would be good for him. It took until the 78th minute when the Cheetahs took the lead, and the Blues did have a chance as well to steal it back with Ihaya West having a drop goal and with dying seconds to go. Missed it, obviously, but that is the Blues' worst ever start to a Super Rugby season. That in all the Super Rugby seasons. So 19 years previous, they have never lost their first 3 matches, which is, well, that's horrible, wouldn't it, for the Blues? They led at half-time as well, which was interesting. It's I think they're only the second team to lead at half-time to not win the match this season, which is a bit of an interesting stat. Yeah. So the Blues, 3 losses on the trot. They'll be, John Curran will be ripping his hair out.
So I saw this thing saying Ihaya West is the fly half of the Blues, yeah? And I think I saw this thing saying he's a potential next New Zealand 10. What do you think about that?
In the future, he will be, yeah. No doubt about that. Probably be a couple of years away. Not this year, but he's a big talent. There's a lot of young fly halves coming through New Zealand rugby at the moment. So if people, I know in the Northern Hemisphere say, Dan Carter's going to retire and New Zealand's going to be screwed, haha. Heard it all before, but there's so much depth. Like Richie McCaw as well. He can go home. He can go right now. There's so many amazing open side flankers here. Just you think Julian Savia is good. Wait till Ardie Savia comes into the All Blacks and
I saw another thing about him as well. Him being the next prodigy as well. So the next one was Western Force Hurricanes, and obviously the Hurricanes won that 42-13. Any of you guys see that?
I saw highlights again. I went to bed actually. Obviously they got they smashed the Force. Hurricanes 42-13. Savia played out of his mind that game, and he scored obviously that great try. But the Hurricanes are just looking really good, aren't they? And the Force's first win over the Waratahs almost seems like a distant memory now, don't you reckon?
The Force just looked like the old Force, in my opinion, watching that match. They just looked like they did, in previous seasons where they've been down near wooden spooners. Their defence was good, and that's what they've based their game around this season. You can tell that's how they build themselves through the match. But the Hurricanes could have scored probably at least 4 or 5 more tries if they really got their act into gear. And by the time the hour mark come along, the game had gone. It was all over, and the Hurricanes just sat on it, just let it roll on. The game was won. Savia was an absolute monster. That try he scored was just like watching pinball. He just bumps them all out of the way. He just was in phenomenal form, and they use him. This is the good thing about the Hurricanes is they use him. Every chance, the ball will go to Savia. There's no, he's never halfway through a match and hasn't touched the ball. So he's in good form, and they're using him as you'd expect them to use a star and key player like he is.
Yeah, last week when I watched the Hurricanes, I can't remember who they played, but they just gave him the ball from a scrum. They knew he was a one-on-one, and he beat the guy and then did that amazing stretch to score that try last week. So yeah, obviously they're using him very, very well in one-on-one situations as well. And what do you think of isn't Nick Cummings coming back next week for the Western Force?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah, that's what he said in an interview during the match.
Do you think he'll make an impact for them or not?
Not at first. Sure. No, not at first. Obviously, playing Japan for a while. I mean, he's obviously got the chemistry there, but I think that it might take a few weeks for all the structure and all that to pay off.
Right.
He's good enough though. Like when he gets into that team, he will add a lot because of his ability and because of how good of a player he is, and just the cultness of the man. He's just such a big deal. He will add to the team. He'll lift the team, and just his presence, I think, will make all the players around him play a lot better. Whether he's on touch right from the word go or not, I think he'll lift the Force definitely.
Yeah, it's a big one that because obviously you want him to do well, don't you, because of his personality and how he is the guy. But it's obviously it's quite difficult coming from a league where it's not the highest standard, then going straight back into Super Rugby at that massive high standard. So you got to make sure you have that same intensity that you had when you played there before. So the other game was the Highlanders Reds, and that was 20-13 for the Highlanders. And did any of you guys see that one?
Yeah, I saw the game. Yeah, I thought it was a good game. Highlanders won 2015, and James are kind of playing the first game for the Reds after coming back from France. And honestly, I think he played a decent game, playing obviously at number 10. But honestly, I don't like him there as an attacking. I don't like him there. I like him as a fullback, or I like him on the wing. I like him as an attacking player. And I don't know if you guys agree with that, but yeah, what do you guys think?
I just think he needs to be in that team somewhere anyway, because who else they're going to put at 10? They don't have... The Reds are pretty stretched for number 10 options at the moment, so he's got to play there for sure. That game, interesting point from that match though as well, was Aaron Smith versus Will Guinea, a massive matchup between those two, and they both played a huge match. Yeah, they were both massive. That was a big point. Marty Banks, I know most of you probably won't even heard of him, but he's from the Tasman Markers in the ITM Cup, been around a couple of years. He's going to be a super player in the years to come. He's a big name that's coming through. And Mark Reddish for the Highlanders is a sublime signing from the Hurricanes. He is one of those workhorse players that does something, all the stuff you don't see, but is so vital for a team to operate. That's a big signing, I think, for the Hurricanes, for the Highlanders, that one.
Yeah, do you because in my opinion for James O'Connor, I think he's one of those players that you feed him the ball, but not at 10, and I think he'll be able to. He does stuff by himself, but that's the thing. If you put him at 10, then he has to actually ship the ball out. Where if you put him at when he played at wing, he'd be able to just do stuff by himself, because he would know that he wouldn't have to give it out, whereas now, because he's 10, he knows he has to obviously ship the ball out. So it's one of those. You probably, if Quay Cooper said, they obviously wouldn't play him at 10, but at the moment they're going to have to because of their options there at the moment.
Where is he playing? Where would you play him though after Quay Cooper comes back?
Oh, that's it. It's probably he'd have to be fullback. I think just the counter attacking. I think he'd have to go fullback. My opinion. What do you think?
I agree with that. I mean, maybe even 12 as well, but I don't. What do you think?
Anywhere in the back line would suit the Reds, but he's probably best at fullback or on the wing. I reckon from his history of playing for the Wallabies, that's where he seems to have the freedom to do what he likes to do and really run without the worry of having to command the team around the field.
Yep. And obviously there were some games today, and there were Chiefs Crusaders. So I didn't see the result of that one. Did you guys see that one?
Yep, I watched that one just not long ago. It was 40 points to 16 to the Chiefs. They absolutely dominated the Crusaders. It was just the Crusaders were never really in that match. Sonny Bill Williams was at his absolute best. The guy's a machine. He is probably one of the best players in world rugby at the moment, although people won't like to hear it and think he's just a showboat, but he's phenomenal. He is amazing. It was a game, again, full of yellow cards. There was 3 in the match, and it didn't seem to do anything except for make the team that got the yellow card play better. Andy Ellis made his comeback for the Crusaders as well from Japan, and he was looking as sharp as you'd expect from Andy Ellis, but really, the Chiefs are on another level. The Crusaders are just full of mistakes, and they're full of just everything that you wouldn't associate with Crusaders rugby, and it's hard to see them coming back to their normal selves anytime soon, to be quite honest.
Did Dan Carter and Richard McCaw play the Crusaders?
Carter, no. McCaw was playing, yes.
Okay, was Carter still injured then?
Yeah, he's always injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
He got injured in that first match in round 1, and he hasn't been back.
Yeah, I thought, because they should have really taken him off in that match, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they should have, yeah.
So, Melbourne Rebels Brumbies, that was just on for you guys, isn't it? And obviously the Brumbies won that one. How did you guys think that one went?
Well, I'll take this one. It was a great game actually. Rebels looking really good this season, and it's just unfortunate they've been up against three of the powerhouses of the competition with the Waratahs, Crusaders, and now of course the Brumbies. And the Rebels were actually attacking the line in stoppage time and just knocked it on about 10 meters out. So they'll be heartbroken that they didn't get more out of that game. They got the bonus point. They could take something away from that. But I mean, yet again, two more yellow cards. I don't know. And Steve Walsh had a shock of that game. So, what do you think, Cornflake?
Yeah, that he did have a shocker that match. It was like a couple of those tries, even the ones that did get pulled back and disallowed that we were talking about just before when we were watching it. He just called that a try instantly. Didn't even go upstairs or anything for that. And the first try that Kuranjani scored as well, you're a brave man to call that a flat pass. It was very dodgy, but the Rebels, I think, will be not really the surprise package because everyone knows what they're going to offer, but they're going to be the team that surprises people at the end of the season at where they finish up. They've got a good team. Sturzaka and Debrasini are young and they're looking really good together at 9 and 10, and they've got Higginbotham, of course, at number 8. It's a good base for them to go off, and they're only going to get better with the youth that it's in that team.
Fair enough. So another game that is going on today is a bit later on, and that's going to be Bulls Sharks. What do you think will happen for that one, Scottish Cannon?
Honestly, I'm not going to see it. I haven't watched much South African rugby, but I think should be a good game. Sharks maybe by 3. Honestly, not incredibly sure, but
but with our reputation, it's probably going to go smashing by the Bulls, to be honest.
The Bulls haven't won a match yet. They're 0-2, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah.
They should be one of the top runners. When you look at the Cheetahs, haven't lost. Who would have thought that at the start of the season? That is just completely on its head. Cheetahs and the Stormers undefeated from South Africa. You go on form, you should say the Sharks, but I like the Bulls. I think they're a decent team, and I think they will come back and they will beat the Sharks by a small margin
as well.
Yeah, I'd give them 8 points.
Okay, so the other game is the Lions Stormers, and obviously the Lions are at home for that. But do you think the Stormers will take that one?
Yeah, the Stormers will take that one for sure. They're looking so much better than anyone predicted at the start of the season. Well, no, you predicted it, yeah. Yeah, you did. And you're right as well. What you said at the start of the season, that they're going to be the team that gets up and performs better than anyone would expect. They're on target for what you said, to be a top 6 side. And, well, look at them. They'll take out the Lions. No worries. They should smash them by 22 points.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I've got nothing else to add, but Storms are going to win.
Okay, so for now, I'm going to go on to my Aviva Premiership bit because these guys have no idea what the hell is going on down there. So,
go the Saints.
Yeah, the Saints, saying that, they did actually win yesterday, which puts them, I think it's quite a few points clear now. I can't tell you the exact amount because
13,
I can't remember.
I think it is.
Yeah, it's quite a few. And they beat Harlequins 17-13, and that's obviously they're on a bit of a run now. 3 tries for them, Manoa, Wilson and Woods, and then Marlon Yard did score for Quins. And as you expect, it was a Northampton side without not many players, you have to admit, because most of their players actually there's not really too many that actually are in the England squad now for Northampton. Yeah, there's Luther Burrell, but they've got plenty cover for him. And actually, I think their team is actually probably one of the strongest, considering they have England players away. So that's another good positive for them. And the other games that are going on this weekend, there's Wasps Gloucester. That's on Sunday, I think. So London Welsh, London Irish, and obviously London Irish will win that. I can call that one with my eyes closed and my fingers. I don't know, but and there's Leicester Sale, and it's home for Leicester. But Sale last week they did beat Saracens at home, so it really depends. But they do not have Danny Cipriani this week, so I do see Leicester winning that. Saracens Newcastle, Saracens home ground. I can see them winning that quite easily. Exeter Bath at Exeter. I'd probably see. I think Exeter will win that one because obviously Bath have all their high quality players away, but they do still have some players decent who are still at Bath. So it could be a close one, but I think Exeter will win that one. And on Sunday we have Wasps Gloucester. That's the only game. I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is. And obviously, I'm a Wasps fan, and it's at home. And I think Wasps, they've only lost one game at home this season, and one game at the Ricoh Arena, and that was in the LV Cup, which no one really cares about. So, Wasps Gloucester, I think Wasps will put 4 tries on them, and I think they'll get the bonus point in that one. So, is there any more we want to talk about before we end, or are we fine?
Yeah, just one more question. Who's going to be coming? Well, obviously London Welsh are going to be relegated this year. Who's going to be promoted from the Premiership below?
It's looking like a 2-horse race between Worcester Warriors and Bristol. They're looking like the sides that are more likely to go up, and it's quite good to see that Worcester Warriors, with their relegation last year of not winning, I think it's like 2 games or 1 game, and it's good to see that they're back on top. Yeah, it's the top of the table for the Championship is 75 points to Worcester and 74 points to Bristol, with London Scottish with 53. So it's going to be those two. Even that there is a kind of playoff to get up, which if you get in that, I think it's top. I'm not sure how many it is. I'll be honest. I don't really understand the format of the Championship, but when it gets to the playoffs, anyone could beat anyone because it's only down to I think it's an aggregate game. I'm pretty sure. So if you play really really well at home and then just sneak a tiny loss away, you could beat anyone in those playoffs. So even though it looks like it could be Worcester or Bristol, anyone who's in that playoff can potentially win it. So those are the 2 teams that I think are probably more likely to come up. And is there anything else before we're going to go, or are we done?
Was that James Wilson playing for the Saints who scored that try in that match?
Yeah.
What's the general impression of him over there still?
Oh, he's been playing very, very well. For the last few years, he's been very, very solid for Saints, actually.
He's been there for about 3 or 4 years, I think.
Yeah. He's been very good.
It's interesting just from where he comes from here. He comes from Southland, where I'm from, playing for the Stags and that. And it's just interesting, a player of that calibre who was a good player for the Stags, but never really ever looked like he probably got in wider training groups for the Highlanders or something, but never really hit towards Super Rugby level yet as a solid player in the Aviva Premiership. It's just interesting comparisons.
Yeah, it is. And
that is all.
What do you think of quite a few New Zealand players leaving to France after the World Cup? What do you think of that?
That's fine. They can go.
Do you think that's all right? Because do you think they're getting to the end of their careers? Do you think they want the money, or do you think they're just going because they want a new challenge, as they say?
Probably a bit of both, I'd say. Some of them will be money. Some of them will be just something else, I guess. You got to think players like Dan Carter, he won't go for the money because he's already got so much money. That guy will be on an absolute bomb of advertising and all that sort of rubbish. Some may go, some may, there's so much talent, someone's going to go. Either the old guys are going to go or the young guys are going to see no way up and they're going to go. So it's one or the other, but there's so much up-and-coming talent that, they'll be replaced easy as. The other thing is, I see Piri Wipu has signed a contract.
Yeah, signed for
Is he?
Wasps.
Oh,
yeah.
Dreadful. How did you let that happen?
As a Wasps fan, I'm not too disappointed because he's going to be the backup, so that's all right. So, because Joe Simpson is so much better than him now. So,
a rock is so much better than him.
Yeah. just anyone, a little schoolgirl is probably better than him.
But, yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I think he didn't really care how. Obviously, from New Zealand, playing for obviously the All Blacks, he would have been used to winning. Even though he was with the Blues, they weren't the best, were they? So internationally, he would have been just used to winning and losing every single game this season for London Welsh. He would have been so pissed off. But to be honest, him playing at 10 for London Welsh did not really help them at all, to be honest. So I think potentially it's good for him to get away, and for us it's an all right signing. We have had a few injuries at scrum half for our replacement scrum halves, so yeah, I think it's an all right signing for us.
Hope you didn't pay him too much.
Yeah, probably free, to be honest. They probably gave they gave us money.
Yeah.
So this has been the third episode of the Rugby Weekly. If you guys have enjoyed, please do give a like, and thank you very much for Cornflake for coming on the channel.
Thanks for having me. And thanks for watching, everyone.
And for the Scottish Cannon as well. Thank you very much for coming on the channel. And the links for those two channels. Okay. Links for those two channels will be in the description. You guys make sure you subscribe to them. You probably are. To be honest, I've got 400 subs. They've got more than me, so it's more than likely that you probably are. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.